So, how do you build a universe from scratch? I mean, really, one of the oldest stories in the world, the book of Genesis, actually gives us a kind of blueprint. Today, we're going to dive into just the first 3 days of that story. And it's this amazing process of turning absolute chaos into a cosmos just brimming with potential. Let's get into it. Right out of the gate, the narrative opens with this incredibly powerful, definitive statement. Now, what's really interesting here is that the text doesn't start by trying to prove God exists. There's no philosophical argument. It just starts with this grand, sweeping declaration as the foundational fact. Everything else is going to be built right on top of this. So that opening line, that's the solution. But, to really understand a solution, you first have to understand the problem it's trying to solve. So what exactly was the state of things that needed fixing? Well, the text gives us a really vivid and frankly kind of wild picture. Okay, so Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, it describes a world that is completely unformed, totally unprepared for any kind of life. It's a portrait of absolute primordial chaos. The story is basically setting up this huge problem that's going to need a seriously powerful organizing solution. The text uses 4 key words to really paint this picture for us. First, you've got chaos, meaning it was totally formless, zero structure. Second, void. It was completely empty, uninhabited. Nothing was there. Third, darkness, a total crushing absence of light. And finally, the deep, this vast, featureless, watery abyss. This wasn't just an empty room. It was a purposeless, disordered state where life just had no chance of existing. But even in all this chaos, there's this one crucial detail. The text says the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. The original language here is beautiful. It brings up this image of a bird protecting its nest, carefully tending to the eggs just before they hatch. So this isn't a passive thing. It's an act of care, of preparation, and just this anticipation for the life that is about to burst forth. So if the problem is chaos, what's the solution? Well, the text presents a really clear and methodical process, a kind of rhythm that brings order out of all that disorder. This is not a random series of events. It's a deliberate, structured plan. And the number one tool for this world building? It's the spoken word. When God speaks in this narrative, things happen. His words aren't just descriptions, they are powerful commands that literally bring things into existence, that shape reality itself. This is the force that's going to go head-to-head with the chaos. And this creative process follows a super consistent 4-step pattern. First, God speaks a command. Let there be. Simple enough. Second, that command is immediately fulfilled. And it was so. Bam, done. Third, God performs an act of separation, and then names the new creation, giving it its function and its identity. And finally, God steps back, assesses the work, and declares it good. This 4-beat rhythm is the engine that drives the whole creation story forward. Okay, so let's see how this creative rhythm actually plays out over the first 3 days. The focus here isn't on filling the world yet, but on building its fundamental structure, the very foundations of existence. The first 3 days each have a very specific job. Day 1 is all about establishing the order of time. Day 2 establishes the order of space. And day 3, that lays the foundation for life itself to exist. It's this beautiful, logical progression from the abstract to the concrete. On day 1, the first big move is separation. God creates light and separates it from the darkness. He then gives them names, day and night. And with that, he establishes the fundamental rhythm of time. But here's the really mind-bending part. This light isn't from the sun, because the sun isn't even created until day 4. This is a primordial light, showing that God, not some star, is the ultimate source of light and order. On day 2, the focus shifts to organizing space. God creates a firmament, or an expanse, what we would basically think of as the sky and the atmosphere. This action separates the chaotic waters, pushing some up and leaving some below. And just like that, you have the basic spatial dimensions of the world, a habitable space carved out right in the middle of all that water. You can almost think of it like an architect's plan. The first 3 days are all about building the structure of the house. Day 1 lays down the schedule, the whole concept of time. Day 2 puts up the walls and the roof, creating defined spaces. Day 3 prepares the ground, does the landscaping. It's only after the house is built that the inhabitants can move in. Day 3 is kind of like a 2-act play. In Act 1, God keeps up the work of separation. The waters that were down below are gathered into one place, which allows dry ground to finally appear. He names them land and seas. Then, boom, Act 2. That newly ordered land is commanded to produce life, vegetation, plants, trees. The stage has been set, and now the very first actors have appeared. All right, now we come to that crucial phrase we keep hearing over and over. When the text says God saw that it was good, which is tov in the original Hebrew, it means so much more than just nice or pleasant. It means it was functional, it was orderly, it was doing exactly what it was designed to do within this brand new system. The chaos was being replaced by a good working order. So when you kind of zoom out and look at these first 3 days altogether, a really powerful overarching theme just emerges. This isn't just a story about how things were made, it's a story about the very nature of existence itself. So, the crucial takeaway is this: creation in this story is the act of imposing order on chaos. The main tools used for this job are separation and the establishment of clear, defined boundaries. Notice how the environment is meticulously prepared before any life is introduced. Every single step is showed to be deliberate, purposeful, and part of a much bigger plan. And this all builds to the central thesis of the entire narrative. The core message is that order isn't just a nice to have, it's the absolute necessary precondition for life. Life, according to the story, simply cannot grow in chaos. It needs structure, it needs boundaries, and it needs a prepared environment to have any chance to flourish. So, we'll end with this thought. If this ancient story presents order as the fundamental cosmic principle for creating anything new, it leaves us with a pretty compelling question for ourselves. If we look at our own lives, our work, our world, where is the chaos that's just waiting for a word of order so that new life, a new idea, a new project has a chance to grow?